Welcome and welcome back everybody, Tabletop Toki here, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you a recap of my plays from January 2024. Before we get started, a huge shout out to Noble Knight Games for sponsoring the channel. If you haven't already, you absolutely need to click the link down in the description to check out some of the games on this list, plus any other games you might be interested in. Any little treats that you purchase for yourself using that link will also directly support the channel, so thanks in advance for checking them out. In January, I had 75 plays of 60 different games, 13 of which were new to me. The beginning of the month was a little light. I think I was very burnt out coming off of December where I was trying to finish up playing all the games in my collection, but it's definitely been improving this last half of the month as far as consistency goes. The game that I played the most this month perhaps was The White Castle. We ended up playing it 3 times in a week. I had actually tried this one last year, but finally received my copy and was able to get it to the table. This is such a tight Euro game. There are only 3 rounds of 3 turns each for a total of 9 turns, and as you get towards those later opportunities, you can really start to combo off a lot of different things. So this one just hits a lot of points that I love. Another game that I was able to play 3 times is Stackosaurus. This is a balancing dexterity game with little rubber dinosaurs where you're trying to place them and arrange them so that they don't fall down into the lava. Just a really cute family game. Revive I also got to play 2 more times and share with some new friends who had never played it before. Y'all have heard me ramble about this game in my previous video from December, so I'll spare you the details here, but oof, if you haven't checked it out already, you definitely should. Coimbra is another game that wasn't new to me, but it's one that I love. It's in that same kind of weight of Euro-y goodness. My brain always compares it to Gugong because they have very similar feels to them, although they have different mechanics. In Coimbra, you're drafting dice, which you're then going to place for priority and selecting different cards. So it's a little bit like dice worker placement, but the catch is that the higher the die value that you spend for priority, the more that you have to pay for that card in the resulting resources. And these cards, of course, will add to your engine, move you up on different tracks, and provide you with different opportunities and combinations of strategies you can try from play to play. I also got to play Challenger's Beach Cup for the first time this month. I was very skeptical about this game when it first came out, mainly because of the art. But after playing Challengers and also Challenger's Beach Cup, I can definitely say that it is pretty fun. We did a tournament style with 7 players, so 7 people and then the AI, and getting to move around and shuffle through seats was actually something really unique that you don't see too much in the board game space, and I did really enjoy it. Another game that I got to try for the first time was Picky Pixie from Button Shy Games. This is a brand new game from Elizabeth Hargrave that is a deduction game, not unlike Zendo, where one person is making a rule about what the pixie will or will not eat. Every other player has to hand groups of flowers that will either yes fit the rule or no they won't. Over the course of so many turns, you have to deduce what that rule is. So this was a really quick, fun one. It was a little bit derivative, like I said, of games like Zendo, but I think this one packaged it in a really concise way, so I did enjoy trying it out. Challengers, like I said, the original was also a first for me this month, and I did quite enjoy it more than I thought I would, for sure. I played a lot of abstracts, but getting back to those Euros, we have Kutna City of Silver. I did an unboxing of this one because Noble Knight was nice enough to send me a copy. I was very excited about this game, and it definitely delivered. There are some crunchy aspects of tile placement, resource management. The market manipulation in this one is really cool with how supply and demand work with those tracks. I've only gotten to play it once so far, but I'm really looking forward to trying it a couple more times, also at different player counts. Raising Robots was another new one that I don't necessarily own, but I got to try at my local game store. It's got engine building, you set up a tableau of cards. The thing that I really like about Raising Robots is it has that public action selection mechanics, very similar to Roll for the Galaxy, where and program 2 actions that they want to do, but those have a chance of becoming public based on the cards that you draw. This one for me feels a lot more solid than Roll for the Galaxy, which has the random die rolls, because you do have your cards that you're programming that are also multi-use, and you have a lot of little upgrades that you can combo and things like that throughout the game. Beast is another game that I wasn't sure that I would enjoy. It's a 1 versus all hidden movement game. The thing that makes this one a little bit better than some of its competitors, in my opinion, is the fact that you get to draft your movement cards, so you can see what possible things the hunters could be doing, what the beast could be doing. So it gives you a little bit more information, which makes it feel a little bit more tactical than maybe some other games of a similar mechanic and genre. Moving right along, I also had a first play of the Fox Experiments. Yet another game that I was very skeptical about, mostly because of the price tag. And I'm a little upset now because I feel like I need this one, but there's also a 5 to 6 player expansion that's super hard to find and very expensive. So my brain is like, it needs to be all or nothing. Now, to be fair, mechanically, I had heard that it was similar to Genotype with using dice to get different pairings of genetics that you can then put together to fulfill certain objectives. And this one is a little bit lighter, it is a little bit messier, but I have to say that the frickin' foxes are so cute. As I was learning the game, it was being explained and I was just looking at everything, trying to figure out what went where. When I saw the fox cards and the blank line, I was like, Ryan, is this line for naming my foxes? And then I lost my shit. Although this isn't the most sound game mechanically, it definitely has an interesting theme. The artwork and presentation are amazing, and I have a soft spot for foxes, so this is definitely one that I think I will have to pick up once I find it for not $1 million. Cult of the Deep was another new game that I got to try this month. It is very similar to Bang the Dice game, where you have hidden teams, you roll dice, you get your 2 rerolls. The big thing that Cult of the Deep adds that Bang the Dice game doesn't have are the ritual tracks in the middle. So you can assign certain symbols to particular rituals to get small turn bonuses, but the person who finally triggers the ritual may get a permanent bonus or a big one-time effect that they can use. And it did suffer from a lot of the things that some other social deduction games may suffer from, but overall, if you like the theme, this is one that might be fun to check out. We had some other favorites like Hitsy Road, It's a Wonderful World, Black Angel, Hardback, ooh, so many good ones. Senjutsu Battle for Japan was another new one. This is a tactical game where you're going to be programming cards for initiative, movement, and attacks, moving along your meditation track. Again, this isn't my preferred style of game. This one really reminded me kind of Unmatched in how it played out, just based on you have a little bit of movement, a little bit of attack, and it just seems like a very rock, paper, scissors, back and forth. Yes, there's some anticipation about what your opponents will do, but overall I found it to not be very satisfying. Now granted, that may be because this is not my preferred style of game. There may be some deeper strategy that I'm just not tapping into, but when it comes to games like this, I definitely prefer games that feel a little bit more abstract, that have a little bit more going on, like Neuroshima Hex or Tash Kalar. Overall, this one was meh for me, but we had a lot of other plays, another one being The Chameleon, which is very similar to Spyfall, except you're guessing a word versus a location. Again, it was a party game. It was all right. It wasn't anything to write home about. Sky Team, on the other hand, is a 2-player cooperative game where you're working as a pilot and co-pilot trying to land a plane. When I saw that there's a discussion phase and then an actual rolling and placement phase, where you're using dice to fulfill certain values on the board, it really reminded me of one of my favorite cooperative games, which is Flatline. And I thought that since Sky Team doesn't have a timed phase like Flatline does, it would not be nearly as stressful or tense during the placement phase. However, that proved to be wrong on the first playthrough for sure, because you're placing dice one at a time back and forth, and you're not allowed to communicate about what your actual die values are or things like that. So this one actually ended up being really fun. I'm excited to try some of the other scenarios in the campaign as well. And there were a lot of just smaller games that I've played a lot that I've enjoyed. Dixit, believe it or not, I had never played before. Y'all probably know what it is, but in case you don't, it's got a little bit of deduction where you have a card and a word. Everybody else has to try to get a card that matches that word and trick people into choosing their card versus the actual person's. It was meh, and honestly, I think for the time it was probably great, but now there are so many games in this genre, and I know that Dixit is famous for its whimsical arts, but the original version that we played wasn't as impressive as some of the amazing artwork that I see in board games nowadays, so it didn't necessarily check the box for me in any of those aspects. The Fuzzies was a small little dexterity game like Jenga, except you're using little fuzzballs instead. That's about all there is to say about that one. And the last new game I played was Not It, which is a speed game where you roll dice and you have to play a card that doesn't match the pattern, color, or symbol shown. So just a quick fun speed game. That about wraps up my plays for January 2024. Let me know down in the comments below what games you've been playing this month and what you're looking forward to playing in February. And while you're down there, don't forget to check out Noble Knight Games. Again, any purchases that you make directly support the channel, so feel free to treat yourself. You have my permission. Thanks so much for joining me as always, and I'll see you next time. Bye.